today to talk a bit about security in public clouds. There is a ruling opinion that you might feel a bit queasy about entrusting your information into a public cloud. I mean, isn't it safer to keep your server infrastructure at your own location, where you know you have it, you can go and feel it, you can touch it? I mean, can we really trust the cloud? So, let's talk a bit about what is information security actually. A basic model about information security is the CIA of information security. You have the C for confidentiality, you have the I for integrity, and you have the A for availability. Confidentiality means that only authorized users can see your information. That means that only the ones you decide are allowed to see your information are the ones that can actually access it and read it. I for integrity is about the transfer of message, that you should be able to transfer a message from the sender to the receiver without it being disrupted, interrupted, destroyed, or changed in some way. That's the integrity part. And then we have A for availability. That means that you need to have the correct information available to you when you really need it. How do you really measure what are the costs, damage costs, if you have a breach in information security? Well, let's ask the greedy ones. Let's look at the insurance companies. Insurance companies have a very well measured system of all the payouts. So, of 2014, all the insurance payouts relating to IT security damage from the insurance companies are gathered and divided between confidentiality breach, integrity breach, and availability breach, like this. Integrity is 4% of the total payout. It's pretty simple. The reason for this is that integrity is basically something that's out of the box today everywhere with encrypted kind of traffic. You have encryption with web traffic today. All mails are per default encrypted today. There's very few access and information transfers that are unencrypted out of the box today. And that's why integrity is pretty low. Then you have confidentiality breach that stands for 22% of all payouts. Of course, a confidentiality breach, when unauthorized people are accessing all your information, that's a disaster. That's a major thing. It's really a disaster. But why is availability all 74% of the total payouts when the confidentiality thing is the one that's a real disaster? Well, what do you lose with the availability? You can lose credibility if your website is down when you really need it. You can lose business potential. You can lose potential business if they can't access you, or if they can't reach you when they want to purchase something. They go somewhere else today. Or you can lose productivity. Even though these are usually very small things, they are plenty. This is the most common thing for an information security breach, that you lose availability. You don't have access to the information you really need when you need it. And this all added up together stands for all 74% of the insurance payouts, and these are the payouts itself of the insurance company. If we look and compare it, I would like to say confidentiality breach can be compared to a house on fire. How often have any of you had your home totally burnt down? That's a major disaster, but it's quite uncommon. Compare that to how many of you have had a smartphone with a broken screen. That's a very common occurrence, not nearly as much in the payout as a house fire, but still a lot more common. And that's why the major payouts are with the availability breach instead of confidentiality. Okay, let's have a look a bit about information security. You usually focus in information security on encryptions and firewalls and technical parts of things. But it's just as much people. Information security is both technology and people. A good example of people being a big issue is a test I usually call kexchokladtestet. That's a piece of chocolate. I go and offer each employee of a company a piece of chocolate if they give me their password. I've never failed to get full admin access after giving out chocolate. This is very hard to educate away and getting all your stuff risk aware in that sense, because if you don't work with IT as a core business, this is too much to ask of people today to be that risk aware. This is a problem we're facing. If you keep your infrastructure at home, it doesn't matter if you invest a lot in high-grade technology unless you educate your people as well. And that's expensive, costs a lot of effort goes behind that. So let's have a bit of a look about what costs and doesn't cost in information security. We start with the integrity. That's only 4% of the payouts, but it doesn't cost that much to fix it easily because you have readily available technologies that are cheap and good, excellent. And you don't need to involve users today. Like if you send a mail, it's by default encrypted today. It's hard to turn off encryption on a mail today. So the users don't need to think about this, it just works. And it's a basic structure, a basic service that's readily available. So it's both cheap for the technology and the people. Then we have confidentiality. There, technology is cheap. You can buy a really high-grade firewall today and VPN access very cheaply today, actually. But the problem is the people. If you allow people to give away their password for a piece of chocolate, then you still have the problem. You need to educate your people in risk awareness concerning IT security. And this is something tricky, especially when most of them doesn't have this as their core business. So tech on confidentiality cheap, but people on confidentiality pricey. And then we have availability. Let's start by just physical access to your servers. If you have your servers standing in your office today by yourself, who has access to the servers? Who can sneak a piece of technology and add it to your server? Who can just click and put something into your network switch that you not aware of? There you have a integrity and confidentiality breach all at the same moment. I mean, do you have ID control on anyone who accesses your servers? That's something most companies doesn't invest in because it's really expensive. Let me tell you about when I visited Microsoft's data center. You start by going into a locker room, taking off all your clothes, going into a shower room where you take a shower, and then you exit through another door where they stand on the other side waiting for you with the coveralls and clothing provided by the visitor center at the data center itself. So the only way to smuggle a piece of technology inside this data center is the prison style. This is not something you can afford or it's sensible to have as private companies by yourself, but as cloud providers, we need to have this as a decent service. So, availability, I mean, it's insane. You need to have good environment with coolings, with power supply, with particle filtering, and then you need to have this from a lot of different providers. You need to have more than one power provider. You need to have more than one ISP. You need to have at least 4 or 5 different lines for internet connectivity and power connectivity. You need to have backup generators. You need to have people that are well educated in handling all of this. How often do you emergency train at your company about an IT breach? How often do you train for a denial of service attacks against your infrastructure? We have trained professionals who do this on a regular basis, and are readily updated. We have procedures to handle this. So if you look at the infrastructure and if you look at the availability, I mean, it's insanely costly, both technology and people. And then you need to have it all at another location, because you need to have 2 separate locations if you want to have good availability. This is very pricey. I usually try and compare this a bit to banking. In the early 18th century, people didn't trust banks. It's much better to keep your money at home. It's much better to have your money stuffed under your bed. I mean, who can trust banks? I don't want to have my money locked away with a lot of other people's money. That's strange. Why would I want to have that? The problem is that even how good a safe you build at home, one, you have a problem when you're not at home and you still need to withdraw some new money. If you run out of money and are not at home, it's tricky to go get them. 2, even if you try and build a really, really good safe for your money at home, the bank vault will still be a lot better, even though it's shared among other people. This is the same with information security today. Let's have a look at the numbers again. If you combine the things that are low cost, like in people and technology for integrity and technology for confidentiality, that's just 15% of the total payouts. 85% of the total price that the insurance companies paid out for damages last year was regarding things that are really expensive for you as a company, especially if you don't have IT as your primary business to handle. So I usually say go cloud or go broke. Thank you.